Welcome back to the channel. We're bringing you a Friday night episode. We deliberately delayed the episode today for the European quarterfinal draws, which free up some unbelievable ties, which me and Stefan are going to discuss between now and 7:30. We'll also look at the Europa League draw for some of our Liverpool following, and we'll look ahead to the weekend's games, including the FA Cup, where Man United take on Liverpool, Man City take on Newcastle, and we'll also look at Spurs and Villa, who are also in Premier League action. So only one place they start, Stefan, and that was the European draws were made today. Arsenal fans were very excited, I suppose, being back in the quarterfinal draw, and it freed up quite a memorable quarterfinal draw for them. So let's get started, Stefan. We'll do them in the order they come out, and funny enough, the order they come out was the first draw was Arsenal were the first team out, and they were drawn against Harry Kane's Bayern Munich. So what's your thoughts on that tie?
I told you before, I had a feeling it was going to be Bayern Munich. I thought it was kind of written in the stars. I said as long as we don't get Atletico, I'm fine. Like, you know, every team is good. Yes, would I have preferred Borussia Dortmund? Yes, that was my number one choice. But I'm gonna be honest, Gareth. You know, Bayern have been really, really poor this year. I think in terms of the way we play and in terms of as a team, I think we're better. And right now, in terms of performance-wise, but you know, we need to show that. And for me, it's a great test. It's a great kind of story arc, especially the last Champions League exit we had was the 10-2 loss against Bayern. And I think it would really show the redemption and kind of just the rebuild that Arteta has finally managed to achieve if we knock out Bayern Munich. For me, I think it's almost poetic. And then from a different angle, it would be absolutely amazing if we allow Bayern Munich to go trophyless for the first time in 11 years in Harry Kane's first season. That would be absolutely amazing. That would be so good for me.
On the flip side, Kane can hurt Arsenal too, so it's a bit of a 50-50
Of
both
course.
ways. But I have to say, if you're looking at this based on this season, based on the teams, how they've played, Arsenal are favourites. But this is the Champions League, and often it comes down to pedigree, experience. Do you see this really as a 50-50 tie? Does the fact that it's in the Champions League, Bayern Munich have more experience? Is that a leveler in terms of how the teams have played this season?
Gareth, honestly, based on the performances, I would maybe say 55-45 in terms of Arsenal. If I'm really confident, I would say 60-40 maybe based on just the pure performances. But, you know, they have players that have been there. You know, Alphonso Davies won a Champions League. Thomas Müller has won a Champions League. You know, Kimmich. They have experienced players, which we don't have. We have easily the youngest squad in the Champions League, and it showed.
Harry Kane's won the Audi Cup. There's
That's true.
Sorry,
I forgot about Harry Kane's experience with winning trophies. I forgot about the Audi Cup. Sorry.
How big of a game do you think it is for Kane? You know, the English world will be watching. Unfortunately, we'll discuss in a moment. This fixture schedule come out about an hour ago.
Oh no!
Arsenal play Bayern Munich the same night. Real Madrid play Man City. Unfortunately, because of the Madrid teams both being home, they've had to make sure they're not on the same night. So most of the football world will be watching both games. But in terms of, you know, we've seen Kane. He was back in England with against Man United, but this is obviously on a bigger scale now, quarterfinal. And some people are suggesting that despite Kane scoring all these goals, it's another season which Bayern Munich are likely to go trophyless. Do you think there's pressure on Kane in this tie?
No, because if you're asking me in relation to the English media, I don't know if you read a recent article. I think it was in the Telegraph where they said it's Bayern Munich's fault that they haven't I've
seen that report, but our media
it was a joke. Like, okay, he scored 34 goals, but in all of the biggest games, apart from the Lazio second leg against Leverkusen, he was nowhere. Against Borussia Dortmund in the first game, he didn't score. So there were games where he went missing, and the English media, he's their golden boy. No matter how many trophyless seasons he goes by and how many finals or semifinals he doesn't show up for, including for England, by the way, they will always defend him. So I don't think there's that much pressure on him. I think there's more pressure from the fact that it would be it would be really embarrassing if he moved to Bayern Munich and for the first time in 11 years in your first season where, and let's be honest, playing for Bayern Munich and for PSG, you're pretty much guaranteed at least one trophy. And you go for the
Mm.
first time in 11 years with you in the team, yeah, that would be, I mean, every single opposition fan are going to use the word Spursy for like the next
Stefan,
9 seasons.
has he been a bit unlucky? It's not Harry Kane's fault that Leverkusen have broken the records left, right, and centre. They're still unbeaten in every competition. Has he just been unfortunate in that respect? How do you see that?
You see, I would
Because if
when
you
it
actually
comes
look
to
at the table,
Bayern,
Bayern Munich have
when it
more points. They have more points this season than they did at this stage last season.
it
Although
depends. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
so far behind.
It depends. Like for
Mm,
Bayern, I would agree with you because for Bayern, for me, Bayer Leverkusen have done amazing this year. Um, they have Thomas Tuchel, so it was predictable that they weren't going to be going. They weren't going to be as good. Just like with Chelsea, he had a good effect in the first like 6-7 months, and then they went down.
mm.
Just like Bayern are going. So I would say yeah. But if you're talking to me about in general his career, I'm sorry, Gareth. No,
No, sorry,
the
I
amount of
meant this season. Sorry, I meant this season only.
this season, yeah, I would say because he has been scoring goals, he has done his side of in terms of his own responsibilities, he has been scoring goals. But if you go back and look at the biggest games that they have played this season,
Darren's checking on me.
they're good. They're good, Darren. They're good. Hey, listen, Darren, get your Sky subscription on. Put on Tuesday and Wednesday so you can watch Arsenal in the Champions League because I think you guys are on Thursday, right? So yeah, I'm gonna. Who are you guys? Oh yeah, who are Liverpool playing again? Atalanta. I forgot. Yeah, it's
We'll
gonna
speak
be a
about
good
them a
game,
bit
at least,
later.
Darren.
So actually, interestingly that you said this, I'm going to get you to do the same for the rest of the ties. So you fancy Arsenal 55-45. I'm going to get you to do percentages on these ties for me. So I'm going to go 50-50. I really can't call this. I think Arsenal being at home first is an opportunity for them to go out and really try and get 2 or 3 goals up. The fact Bayern Munich have no fans in the stadium as well is a boost to Arsenal.
Even if they
So
had, yeah. Look. If you're asking me where I see the 55-45 margin, if I analyze Arsenal and Bayern Munich, just a quick one, I think Arsenal's midfield and defense is far better. It's not even
yeah.
like their midfield, it's not even close. Like I think their midfield is actually really, really poor. Like Joshua
I
Kimmich.
actually think as well, Stefan, but that first leg's a cup final for you. If you don't
Yeah,
win
we
the
have
first game, I
to.
don't
We
see us
have to
going to the
win.
Allianz.
Yeah, we have to win. We have to win that game. We have to win by at least one goal and take it back to the Allianz for sure. I agree with you. But the good part is Bayern Munich, they're not Porto. They're not going to play defensive. They're not going to play, it's just not in their character and in their football style to play cagey and defensive. So they will try and have a go at Arsenal. And as a result, I think Arsenal will have, far more space. People are saying Arsenal should be worried about Musiala and Leroy Sané. I agree. And Harry Kane, of course. But Bayern should be extremely worried about Declan Rice in midfield, about Martinelli against Conrad Lamer as their right back, Bukayo Saka against Alphonso Davies. Who
Do you agree with Darren's point there? He thinks you need to be 2 goals up going to the Allianz.
No, I think even one goal is good because Arsenal have the best defensive record in Europe. So in terms of I would still be confident if we actually we need to win. We need to have a goal advantage when we go to the Allianz. It's not the end of the world if
you're
it's
tipping
1-0.
Arsenal out of this tie, they go through.
Yeah. I think we're gonna. Yeah. I just think, if we want to make a statement, and you know what? It's the easiest thing to motivate the players now, Gareth, for Arteta. Just put on the tape of the 10-2 loss and just say, look at this. This was Arsenal.
The only thing, I get that to a certain extent. I remember watching the Amazon documentary where he put up the Ivan Toney tweet before the game. Nobody's kick about, but that was directly at them. I'm not sure that Arsenal team's completely different to 10 years ago. I'm not sure how much of them will be thinking about the last time Arsenal played Bayern Munich.
No, but he needs to scare them. He needs to show this is the last time that that this has happened. And he needs to also point to the fact that, do you really think if Bayern Munich had gotten Real Madrid, Thomas Muller would have put up a video saying Yeah, hello Kai Havertz. I can't wait. Do you really think he would have done that?
Bayern Munich
No
fancy,
chance.
they fancy Arsenal, don't they? They fancy
They
themselves to knock
fancy
out
it,
God.
and that's what Arteta needs to channel. He needs to be more American
Mm.
in a way. He needs to put it on like a bulletin board everywhere and just put that video of
Stefan,
Thomas Müller laughing.
we are quite obviously we're only in an hour, so we'll move on. But you
Yeah.
fancy Arsenal now?
Yeah, slightly. I would say slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh
mean,
my god.
this tie. I mean, I watched the Atletico and Inter Milan the other night. I have to say it was great entertainment. Inter Milan, they had it in the palm of their hand really, and they threw it away. Atletico, you see what Atletico do when they're chasing a game. They can play great football, and then all of a sudden, extra time they sat back. So you know what they're going to do. They're going to be very much try and get a one here at home, even if it's a 1-0, and go to Dortmund and defend and run the clock down. And I think they are an absolute nightmare opponent for anyone now in this Champions League.
Yeah.
How do you see this tie in terms of percentage? Because for me, I strongly favor Atletico.
Look, I've been actually quietly impressed by Dortmund in Europe this year. They don't play their typical style. They actually play quite tactical and on the counter with their young coach. They're not the typical kind of naive Dortmund that go full on attack and stuff. So, but I read a really kind of impressive stat from Atletico Madrid since the building of their new stadium have not lost once in Europe at home. They have not lost. So going to, if I'm Borussia Dortmund, I'm pulling Mourinho ball away to Atletico and just defend, just being as defensive as possible, trying to take something back to Dortmund, because Atletico Madrid this season especially do not travel well. They're not good away from home, whether it's in La Liga or in Europe. So if I'm Borussia Dortmund, I'm playing for, even if they lose 1-0, it's not the end of the world. Just keep it manageable. So then when you go, but I see Atletico are far more experienced than Borussia Dortmund. It's Diego Simeone. You know what they're gonna do. So yeah, I don't see any sort of any other conclusion. But the worst part of that is that the winner of PSG Barcelona plays them. So it's like Atletico, let's be honest, they have a pretty clear sight to the final if they do qualify. So yeah, but
Stefan, I'm
let's
going to
see.
bounce back out now because I've lost a bit of audio there. So give me 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, so Atletico, let's see in the comments. Arsenal need to take at least a 2-0 lead back to Germany. I mean, that would be great. But let's see. I mean, I don't think Bayern Munich are gonna be as naive as just going full on attack and giving Arsenal as much space. But you know what? I hope they do, because defensively, if they're playing with Eric Dyer,
I'm back on there, so here we go.
yeah.
So sorry, just to catch up there.
No worries.
Strongly fancy Atletico in this tie.
Yeah, I fancy them. This is more like 65-35 for me. This is pretty
65-35.
Yeah. Even though Borussia can surprise you.
I can't see past Atletico.
No. But the advantage I would say Borussia have, man, is they have their home leg in the second tie. And if they manage if they manage to keep it, close, if let's say Atletico beats them 1-0, I think Borussia can, because Atletico Madrid, I told you, they're not good away from home. They're not. They concede. They're not that people say they're not the they think they're the old Atletico. No, defensively they're not very good. Even in the Inter game, how many chances did Marcus Thuram have? He could have had.
The chances he must.
Yeah, he could. So they will give away chances, especially away from him. So this game, I wouldn't say it's like a no brainer in terms of like which team is going to win. Like it's not as clear cut as I think people think. But I still think Atletico will go through.
Yeah, third tie made was a big one. Real
Oh,
Madrid against Man City. A repeat
yeah.
of last year's semi final. Actually, played each other in a semi final the year before that, too. Meet in one stage earlier this time around. And it's 1-1 in terms of Madrid knocked City out 2 years ago. City knocked Madrid out quite convincingly last year. Um, Now it's a very much new look Madrid team compared to last year. It's not. It's been refreshed. It's got more legs
Mhm.
on it. But can they cope? From Madrid being the main team in the Champions League. The Champions League's wrote in their name. Man City are possibly the more experienced team this time around. Now, how do you see this? I mean, I think it's going to be a classic, but I think Man City are
No,
favourites.
I've watched Madrid over the last few months, and I'm gonna be honest. They have too many injuries, Gareth. I think Man City are gonna beat them easily. I'm gonna be honest. I think Man City are probably gonna play for a draw in the Bernabeu. They'll probably be quite for a controlled game. But once they take them back to Manchester, I think it's going to be a similar, maybe not as one sided as it was last season, but I think Man City will win, just because of the fact that you look at Real Madrid's team, they have no center backs. They're playing
Yeah.
Chouameni at center back, and they have Danny Carvajal at right back, who is right now I think the worst right back in Europe. But every time I watch this guy, he gets
Also, lost
absolutely.
Benzema too. Benzema's a massive big game player
Yeah,
too.
and then
Benzema.
and then I forgot about the fact that they have no I mean, their center forward is Josello. He's just, I'm sorry. It's not of the same level that City have. Yes, their midfield is with Bellingham and they're really good, but so are Man City's. If you
Yeah.
look at Man City on paper, for me, Man City are just better. And I just
How
think it's
how do you see this in terms of percentages then?
this one I think is 65-35. I think this one is more, in my opinion, it's more one-sided than Atletico Borussia. I think Real Madrid are, I know they have their heritage and you can never count them out in this competition. I've watched them. They give away a lot of chances. They're not good defensively in terms of like what I've watched. Even if you watch the Leipzig game, they were super. Leipzig had
Outside should have
so
put them
many.
out. Should have
Yeah,
put them out.
Leipzig had so many chances in the first leg. I think in the first leg, their goalie, I forgot. Their Courtois is also out for the season. They have too many injuries, Gareth. They have,
Mhm.
in my opinion, to be
So
able
you see
to.
it as a Man City Arsenal semi final.
Yeah, sadly I do. Yeah, sadly I do.
And the final tie was PSG Barcelona. I mean, a few years ago, this would have been billed as probably the tie of the round, but not anymore. PSG haven't been able to get over the line in the Champions League, and
No.
Barcelona are probably the worst they've been for a long time. In terms of in this competition, they haven't had much success recently. And I suppose this is a if you look at the Spanish experts, they don't give Barcelona much praise. They think they're a really poor side. So this is a great opportunity for PSG. I mean, this should be a chance they look at and think, right, opportunity to get this semi-final. You're avoiding Man City, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Of course, Atletico, who we think it'll be in the semi-final, will be difficult. But
Yeah.
player for player, PSG have the players. So this is a great opportunity for PSG. How do you see this tie going?
I think this tie is two teams that are not very good as a team, both, but they have really good individual players that can make a difference.
Darn
PSG has.
fancies Barca. I
Yeah,
fancy
same.
PSG.
I think Barca are gonna win this. I think they're both poor defensively. They're both really poor defensively. So I think there's definitely going to be goals based on just the individual
Mm.
quality that both team have. And Mbappe, Lewandowski. So but I think Barcelona just have better individual players overall, and I think that's going to be
Mm.
the difference. And I think Barca will win this, but you never know. Mbappe can win a game by himself. But you just mentioned Atletico, just to say, I don't know if people know this, but Atletico better pray that PSG qualify, because people need to check Atletico's record against Barcelona. It is awful.
Terrible.
Diego Simeone, I read this, has not won at No Camp since he took over Atletico. It's awful.
Mm.
He has lost by
Bad.
far the most. I don't know why they're bogey team, but Barcelona are Atletico's bogey team. So Atletico Barcelona, if that's the semifinal, that is nowhere near. No matter how bad Barcelona are, that is nowhere near a guarantee that they'll beat them. So
Mm.
for me,
How do you see this tie in terms of percentages?
I think this one based on the I would say 60-40 Barca.
So, out of this side of the draw, PSG, Barca, Atletico, Dortmund, who do you think's the most likely to make the final?
Barcelona. I know it sounds crazy, but I think
Mm.
Barcelona is
I
going
think
to get
Atletico
in.
will be in the final. I just have
I'm
just have that feeling.
Atletico cannot play against Barcelona. They just
That
they always
records are there to be broken.
maybe, but let's see. Yeah, but don't forget Atletico. Even the amazing Atletico Madrid, the famous one, they couldn't beat Barcelona.
Mm.
This Atletico is not the same as the old Barcelona.
Mm. Stefan agrees, or Darren agrees with you. Thanks, Barca, probably. Let's
Yeah.
look at the semi-final draw. Because as we says, Arsenal or Bayern. Oh, I've done that the wrong way around, isn't it?
No. It's Arsenal versus.
Yeah,
It's
the
the
Real
winner
Madrid,
of
Man City.
Arsenal against the winner of Real Madrid and Man City.
Yeah. So how I mean that is my fodder and whatever tie it throws up.
That's awful.
But I have a feeling. Do you know what the Arsenal Bayern game's a 50-50. I just can't call it. If it is Arsenal Man City, I think that's probably a better tie for the neutral. I think Man City would probably wipe the floor with Bayern Munich. I think Arsenal are best equipped. They stop Man. I think as well if they play Man City, they won't be overawed by. I think if it was a Real
No.
Madrid, all of a sudden they'd come and think about the pedigree with Man City. They'll just look at that as a Premier League game. So I mean, if it was Arsenal Man City, Stefan, I know you're not confident, but you look at your recent record against Man City and they've done okay.
No, do I agree that Arsenal are the best equipped team currently in the Champions League to beat Man City? Yes. Over two legs, I don't know. Again, Gareth, I think it's 55 in Man City's favor, 45 in Arsenal's if we manage to get to the semi. I just think their experience is that we're the youngest team and it showed against Porto. We looked so nervous, but hopefully now we beat that mental block that we just wanted to get through. In 14 years we hadn't qualified to the quarterfinals, so now we should be able to play more freely. But I don't know. My personal dream is a rematch of the 2006 final of Arsenal versus Barcelona.
Darn thanks, Barca Man City final. What do you think the final will be, Stefan?
I'm biased here. I'm gonna go for Arsenal Barca. I'm gonna
I'm
go
going
for
Man.
I'm,
I think
I'm
it's going to
gonna
be
go for
Man
a
City.
rematch.
I think it's going to be Man City against
Yeah,
Atletico.
yeah. I think it's most likely
That will
Man
be a
City.
difficult final for Man City because Atletico will do everything they try and stop City playing. They will kick them, hound them, time waste, and you just
Yeah,
never know. We've seen this.
I
We've seen Atletico. It's worked to a certain extent. They've never won it, but they've been very close a couple of times. I know you don't think they're as good as they were in the past, but I
no.
just think that Simeone, he's got a knack for getting teams over the line in games. We may not do the final yet, but I'm telling you, they will be a nightmare
No,
opponent for Pep in the final.
I, I,
Or
I, I,
Arsenal,
completely,
or
I
if Arsenal
completely
made the
agree
final,
with
I
you.
think Atletico will be a tough final.
You honestly, it's great this season. The Premier League race is amazing. The Champions League race is also really, like we can't pick like you're saying Arsenal because looking at Arsenal after the Porto game, you're like maybe Arsenal aren't as good as I thought in Europe. But let's say Arsenal, for example, let's say Arsenal beat Bayern Munich and they beat them quite well, right? They beat like
Mm.
they're if they go into the Man City game, would you be more confident? Look, if Arsenal
Oh,
beat
if they
Bayern
wiped
Munich.
the floor with Bayern Munich, I would have I will be a bit more feared. They could beat Man City over 2 games, but I think the Porto game the other night just questions whether the players are ready. They
Yeah.
do it in the Champions League. So if they do
Mhm.
it against Bayern Munich and where they wipe the floor with Bayern Munich, I would have a totally different opinion.
No, I completely agree. But I told you my prediction, and I'll be happy if we make the semifinals. If we make the semifinals, Arteta has had a better first season in the Champions League with his team than Klopp did at Liverpool, than Guardiola did at City. So for me, in order to win the Champions League, you need to gather more experience.
See, to be
So
totally honest, and I'll speak from a Spurs fan's point of view. Spurs fans don't want Arsenal playing Man City in the semi final because they're there's no
Why?
fear factor. I don't think Arsenal fear Man City anymore. I think, Bayern Munich is our
But
best
Man
chance
City
of
are a
getting
really
rid of
good
you. I think
team.
if we get you out, if we can see Arsenal go out there, we'll be breathing. I think if you just come up against Man City, I wouldn't say it's a 50-50 tie. Man City are slight favourites, but there's nothing there that Arsenal don't know Man City's going to do. So I would be really scared, because I think then if he's get past them, I'm relying on the Simeone masterclass in the final. Because and if
No,
he's playing
you're
Barca, if you're playing Barca or PSG, you'd be favourites. The
no,
only thing I'd be banking on is Simeone. So I'm kind of hoping Bayern Munich put you out.
no, Garrett, you're one of the few Spurs fans that I've heard that is really, really like high on Arsenal. Like I remember even you saying like before when you're like, yeah, I think Arsenal are like they can go really far in the Champions League, and I was really surprised at that. And but like with Man City, I would agree with you. If we have our players fit, in terms of we have Partey, Tomiyasu is back, Timber should be back he should be back for the quarterfinal, let alone if we get through. If we have all of our key players fit, yeah, I think we do match up with City. We really do. And I think he'll be
Stefan,
super.
moving away from the Champions League slightly. I still going to be chatting a little bit about it here, but I spoke to some Liverpool fans today, and they are telling me they hope Arsenal beat Bayern Munich and they hope Man City beat Real Madrid, because they want to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
Arsenal
I
go up
saw
against
that.
Man City in the semi
Mhm.
final. So, with the way the draws worked out, do you think this is played into Liverpool's hands massively? If both teams play in the semi final, does that make Liverpool favourites in the title race? Especially, we'll come on to talk about now
No.
the Europa League draw, because the Europa League draw has been very kind to Liverpool as well. So, I mean, do you think
Mhm.
Liverpool are sitting there today thinking this couldn't have gone much better today?
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, Liverpool forget that if they go through the Europa League quarterfinal, they're probably going to be up against Milan. Liverpool fans, can you
No,
go
no,
go
no.
go?
Liverpool play Atlanta and then Benfica or Marseille.
Is it Benfica
Yeah,
or
they
Marseille? Ah,
Benfica or
shit.
Marseille. So they can't play Milan, Roma, Leverkusen,
Well,
or West Ham
hey,
in the final.
Marseille away is one of the toughest like away grounds. So let's see. But yeah,
Liverpool
yeah,
away preferably.
I would agree with Liverpool fans because of the fact of the actual schedule. But I wouldn't like in terms of if you look at Arsenal's games before, it's the difficult part is if Arsenal get to the semifinal with Man City, then it
Spurs and
becomes
Man United.
yeah, Spurs and Man United within the actual Champions League week. So yeah, I agree. It would suck, but Arsenal now, if they want to challenge in every competition, they have to learn how to deal with it. And not only Arsenal, Arteta needs to now rotate. He has no
Mm.
excuses now. All of his players are pretty much back. Timber is going to be back after the break supposedly. He has there's not one knock on wood, everybody comes back from internationals. They have a long break now of 3 weeks, so they should be coming back fresh. April is going to be scary, Gareth. We're playing literally every 3 days in
Yeah,
April.
seen
Every 3 days.
he used to play 14. If he's got to the final of the Champions League, he used to play 14 games
Yeah.
between the 31st of March and the 1st of June.
So it's looking quite scary if we want to get to the final. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but in terms of let's see. I think Arsenal are looking good. I
The
think
only thing I would say is if Man City do play Arsenal in the semi final, 2 games a week apart, have to go at it hammer and tong. It's going to be tight. It's going to be very difficult. Surely that does play into Liverpool's hands.
it does, but I think that week don't Liverpool go away to Aston Villa in those kind of
Aston Villa and Spurs. Spurs home
yeah.
and Aston Villa away. I'm between
I,
Europe, but I just think we'll come on to talk about it because I think this is relevant. I think the Europa League draw couldn't have went much better for Liverpool.
yeah,
Let's just
I
fly through it.
agree.
Milan play Roma. That'll be an interesting tie. I fancy Milan. How do you see that?
Yeah, same. Even though Roma have had since they fired Mourinho, they have. I mean, they beat Brighton 4-0. That's pretty.
Mm,
Pretty good. That's pretty. Like I thought
mm.
Brighton would beat Roma, but no. So and those Italian games, you never know. You never know
No, we
what
seen
can
last
happen.
year Napoli and AC Milan in the Champions League. Napoli were flying
Exactly. So
Milan.
yeah.
I just think Milan.
But
I think Milan are are a team to watch. But we'll see. Liverpool play Atlanta, Bayer Leverkusen against West Ham, and Benfica against Marseille. And we'll just quickly do the semi-finals, and we'll look at the teams in more depth. So Benfica or Marseille will play Liverpool or Atlanta. So again, the second leg would be at Anfield. I just don't think. Now, I watched Benfica yesterday against Rangers, and I thought Benfica were terrible. I was very surprised to see Benfica were above Porto in the league, because Porto, to me, looked a night and day better team than Benfica. They've no
No.
piss about them. Di Maria looks well past it. I just don't see Benfica causing Liverpool any problems. I don't think Benfica will get past Marseille. Now, Marseille have some decent players. Aubameyang's in form. But how do you see that possible semi-final? Do we see it Liverpool-Marseille?
I think Marseille are gonna knock out Benfica based on their home form. I think Marseille just playing at the Velodrome is just special. It's one of the best atmospheres.
And they beat Villarreal 4-0, but then nearly lost it last night, losing 3-0 away, and they were hanging on. So, I mean,
it depends. Like Marseille, yeah, Marseille
Sealy beat Liverpool 2-0 at home in the first game. You could see Liverpool putting 6 past them on Anfield. That's the thing.
Yeah. No. I think Liverpool should wipe the floor with all three teams here. But I would love a classic Liverpool Milan final. I would love a classic.
Interestingly, that's how I see it. I think it will be Liverpool Milan. Let's look at the other side of the draw. Milan Roma versus Leverkusen or West Ham. I think Milan will knock Roma out. Leverkusen will knock West Ham out. But I think Milan will be.
No, I disagree with you.
Come on,
I disagree. I think West Ham are going to knock out Leverkusen. I think West Ham are the perfect team to knock out Leverkusen. Play defensive, play on the counter, and play with set pieces. I'm telling you right now, West Ham in Europe over the last 3-4 seasons, they've knocked out Sevilla. They've knocked out who else? Who have they knocked out? They've knocked out Lyon. They've knocked out a number of teams. That
last year too.
Yeah, and Leverkusen are starting shaky. And go look at the two biggest. I read this stat. There is not another team that has choked more on the big stage on finals than Leverkusen. Leverkusen is infamous for choking. So I would not be surprised if they go up. And West Ham,
they nearly choked last night, didn't they? I mean, they were helped out with a 10-man big time.
They almost choked. So, but they keep, and this is, as I always say it, you always laugh with me when I talk about Liverpool. This is not sustainable. It will catch up. There will be one game where they won't be able to score 2 goals in injury time. So, West Ham, for me, I really want to watch this game because this game will be really, because Leverkusen, everybody hypes them up because they play, like this. I'm going to be really intrigued because I remember last season, Roma knocked them out playing absolute shithouse football. Did you remember?
Yeah.
With Mourinho, they were in the semifinal, I think, and Roma knocked them out playing awful. They had like 20% possession or something. It was awful. So I'm gonna be really intrigued with West Ham, and just West Ham for some reason in Europe they just up their levels. Did you watch them against?
Third consecutive season in the quarterfinal of a European competition. Fantastic.
No,
we both agree. We both agree Liverpool will win the final. Who meets Liverpool in the final?
Milan.
I think it'll be Milan.
I think it'll be Milan. Yeah,
that'll be a massive final, wouldn't it? Liverpool Milan, even though it's Europa League, it'll be huge.
It will be huge, yeah. It'll also be
Milan,
like
Milan spoil Klopp's party.
You look with Milan, with teams like Milan, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. You can never count them out, huh? You can never count them out, especially Italian teams. You can never count them out. So for me, it'll be really interesting. Liverpool, I think, are naturally the favorites against Milan. But Milan have some amazing players, man. Rafael Leao, if he plays Trent Alexander-Arnold against Rafael Leao in that final, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a really long day. Because Rafael Leao, in my opinion, is the best one-on-one winger in the world. He's so good. So
final thoughts. Who's going to win the Champions League? Who's going to win the Europa League?
Who's going to win the Champions? Man City are going to win the Champions League, and Milan are going to win the Europa.
I'm going to slightly differ. I think it'll be Man City, and that'll win it I think Atletico will push them very
Wait,
close.
Could you get the comment by Darren, please?
And I think Liverpool will beat AC Milan in the final. Stefan, you keep saying things will catch up Liverpool, but they keep proving you wrong. Arsenal could never do that. What Liverpool did the last
Could
7
never do
games.
what? Could never do what, Darren? Scored last minute goals? Arsenal have scored the most amount of goals past the 85th minute this season. What score a goal against Nottingham Forest in the 99th minute when there was 8 minutes added time? Yeah, we can't do that because we don't get help from the refs. That's true. We cannot do that. I'm sorry, Darren.
Let's look ahead to the weekend off for you, Stefan. Quarter-final action and Premier League games. Only some Premier League games going ahead due to the FA Cup. Let's look at these games. Man United, Liverpool. Stefan, I mean, again, it's another big tie on the face of it, but Liverpool come on as such strong favourites. Now, Man United did manage to get a draw at Anfield this season, despite conceding over 30 shots on goal. If that was to happen again, surely it would be a different outcome this time and Liverpool would win. How do you see this cup tie on Sunday?
I don't know, man. It's Old Trafford. Well, Liverpool don't usually play well there. I mean, over the last years they have won, but they have lost a lot at Old Trafford. I think Liverpool are going to
funny record there. They tend to beat them 5-0 or 6-0.
Yeah, they beat them 5-0 and then they lose. It's in Man United this season, you know them. They played terribly and then they win, like the Everton game. They were so bad. That was like the worst 2-0 win I've ever watched. That was terrible. Like Everton outplayed them in the game. I think Liverpool are going to edge this.
They're going to be terrified of Liverpool. I'll be totally honest with you.
I disagree, man. The thing with Man United that I have noticed is in the big games they elevate their level. You saw it against Man City in the first half. I thought they were better than Man City in the first half. They were more dangerous. You saw it against Liverpool at Anfield, where although Liverpool had 30 shots, let's be honest, they didn't have that many clear-cut chances. They had a lot. They had a lot of shots.
Hoyland comes back, that'll give United a boost. If Hoyland's back, because he gives them a bit of a he's a bit of a target man. He was on decent form, and plus it leaves them not playing Anthony, doesn't it? It means they can go with Rashford, Garnacho, and Hoyland. That's probably their strongest front three. I mean, they've been playing Anthony there or Fernandes as a false nine. It's not really worked. Hoyland does their best option.
Look, if Joe Gomez plays left back again, Man United have hope. So, but then again, Man United, their midfield has looked. Casemiro, I swear to God, I have not watched a worse individual performance in a long time than Casemiro's against Everton. I think literally almost every single pass he tried, he gave it away. Like it was so bad. So I'll
be away 7 times in the first 15 minutes or something.
It was like I don't know. I don't know if he was asleep. I don't know what was going on with Casemiro. He was so bad. So I think Liverpool's
going to wipe the floor right these on Sunday.
I don't think they're going to wipe the floor. I think it's going to be maybe a 2-1 or a 2-0 maybe.
I suppose it depends. I mean, if they get an early goal, I think United will sink sink quicker than the Titanic did. I think they'll drop the heads, will go down, and they'll fold.
Gomez let Foden out of his back pocket. Yes, and Gomez in that game, Darren, for the goal of Man
City. Southgate's called Gomez back up.
This is why England are never gonna. Darren, go back to the Liverpool Man City game and look at the player who lost John Stones for the goal. Guess who it was, Darren? Guess who it was? Yeah. So okay. He's great, Darren. I hope you play him at left back every game. He's amazing.
It's one of them games. I think if Liverpool get that early goal, it's take your pick. How do you see the game going? What's your score prediction?
I'm gonna go for a close, like maybe a 1-0 win to Liverpool, maybe 2-0 I don't think they're gonna wipe the floor because I think Ten Hag is going to play on the counterattack. It's at Old Trafford. It's an FA Cup game. Man United, no, it's the only thing they have. It wasn't Nunes. Go and look. It was Joe Gomez.
I think it was a mix, wasn't it, of the two of them?
It was Joe Gomez was on him, Then he literally tried to tell
He emptied. I
Nunes.
think he emptied the space, didn't he, for the goal?
Yeah. He
Gomez.
tried to. He tried literally. If you watch him, he tried to communicate to Nunes, "I'm going up, so keep the space." I think Nunes was, I don't know, listening to music or something. Totally ignored him, and the guy just and the guy and John Stones had a pretty much a free run. No, no, Darren. I'm not obsessed with Gomez. I just think he's shit. I just think
To
he's
be fair, the
shit.
boys are all staying tight as well. They're saying 2-1, 3-1. I think it's going
Look.
to be
They're not
4-5.
gonna they're not gonna wipe the floor. I think Man United have a lot to play for because it's their only competition where they have something to play for. So I think they'll be really up for it.
I
So
get your point, but I think that point of them not coming out to play and being defensive only works so they can see the first goal. Because after that, they have to come out. And I think that's when
I
Liverpool
agree.
will eat them
Yeah,
alive. If
I
it's
agree.
if it's
No,
0-0 at half time, I think yes, United have a chance. But I think if they get that early goal, the Old Trafford crowd's not going to let them sit back 1-0 down. So I think they're going to have to come out, and I think that plays in Liverpool's hands. I think they need the game to go out at the last time where they stay in it as long as possible. And if you remember, although Liverpool had a lot of had chances, Rashford had a couple of counter attacks in that second half, so they will get a chance or two. But
they will. They
I
will.
just think Liverpool are going to be far too strong. I'm going to go for a 4-1 Liverpool one.
At Old Trafford?
Yeah,
Jesus, come
they
on.
have beaten
No,
them 5-6, I think, before. So
no, they
at
have,
Old
but that
Trafford,
was when they were. I think it was under Ragnick. Like they were a mess. Like
Solskjaer
now
too.
they're still a mess, but they're not that bad of a team. I think Man United still have pride. All these players, Varane, Casemiro, they have
Well, we'll
experience.
see
So
how much the players are behind Ten Hag, because I think if they loses this badly, that's him finished. He might get the end of the season, but I think that'll be the final need of him keeping his job post the summer.
okay, Gareth, let's just do like a 1 minute. Just give me your answer. Okay, when I hear that he's finished, who are you replacing with Gareth? Like I get annoyed at this shit. Who is when I hear the Zerbi, I laugh. No,
I don't think it'll be deserving. No, I'm not sure who it'll be, but
like
they clearly need something to get them going, so they have to make a change.
yeah,
If they finish
but
trophies,
Gareth,
we know Champions League football. I don't see how he keeps his job.
I honestly think that they're gonna keep him because of the fact that they don't want to like just start a whole new rebuild where they're gonna have to spend far more money. We're gonna have to plus like you have to look at you know who I think is the most realistic if they fire him as like a bridge. Oh my god, it's gonna be amazing, Gareth. Thomas Tuchel. It's gonna be amazing. I really think they might if they fire Ten Hag and they're like they look at the market and they're like the Zerbi
Conte maybe,
no. Who?
Conte as
Conte?
well is out there.
Are you Conte with him calling out the board every 3 weeks that we're Manchester United and give
I
me
think
money?
he'll be
No
told he can
sense.
call out the players, but don't be calling out the board. Well, he'll get money to spend at United. That's the difference. He'll get money to spend, but
Will
he'll call
he?
it. He'll be able to
I'm
call out the
reading.
players.
I'm reading. Jim Ratcliffe has come in and is gonna bring in the Brexit FC policy. He's only gonna sign British players now. Like I'm reading, they're willing to spend like 50, 60 million on Jareth Brathwaite. Don't get me wrong, looks talented, but really, man,
Good player.
it's like, why do you continue to how? Like they have this gift of overpaying for like above average British players. I don't get how they continue to do it. Mason Mount, Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, like they have overpaid, and now they're continuing that. So you know what? Good on them. I hope it continues. Yeah.
I do agree with you. I do think there's a lack of availability in managers out there, but I just don't see them accepting Ten Hag as if he finishes 6th or 7th. We know cups with a team going backwards.
No,
I just don't see him keeping his job.
no.
So they have to make it.
Final thing is before we move on. If they sack him, Gareth, I'm gonna miss his press conferences. Those are the best. I love his press conferences.
I think the per man needs to put out his misery. I'll be totally honest with you. Let's look at our team in Manchester playing against Newcastle. Jamie Carragher was quite critical of Newcastle on Monday Night Football. Eddie Howe had back today and says, no, the players aren't on the beach. They're very much fighting for this season. If they lost this game on Saturday, is that it for Newcastle this season? You feel it's just about getting to the end of the season because nothing really to play for. Maybe try and script under the Conference League, but no chance of Europa League or Champions League. And what would that mean for Eddie Howe come the summer? Would he be a man under pressure?
I in terms of like I didn't have a good feel of Newcastle because I haven't watched them as much. I know they've been really poor, so I watched them
Scoring loads
against
of goals,
us.
but conceding far too many. It's a bit like Eddie
They're
Howe's
so
Bournemouth.
poor.
A bit like Eddie
No,
Howe's.
like
Remember Bournemouth teams that were scoring goals but letting on too many?
yeah, like, but not only that, like for example, like I watched them against Arsenal. They were awful. Like Arsenal completely just destroyed them. But then at the Emirates, Arsenal have pretty much dominated almost every, including Liverpool and stuff. So I thought, okay, that's not an accurate measurement. I watched them against Chelsea, Garrett. They were so
Mm.
poor. Like I was
Stefan,
like,
I think this is a classic case of a team that overperformed last season. I know there's been injuries, but I think the likes of Miggy Almiron, Murphy on the
yeah,
wing, Callum Wilson's been outstanding, but
Fabian Schär,
Trippier,
yeah.
even last season, I think all these players played above their own level. I think this year they've come back down, and this is probably where the squad is. They're probably a top 8, top 9 team at best. I don't really. I know there has been injuries and they've played more games, but I think a lot of the players last year played above what they're actually capable. Like I remember Jacob Murphy scoring from 30 yards against
Yeah,
Spurs. You know,
he
stuff
scored. He
like that
scored. He scored.
happened.
He scored a ridiculous goal against Chelsea too.
Maggie Almiron was on a great run. He's went back to kind of how he was before last
Yeah,
season.
how he was. Yeah,
I kind of feel that this is probably where they're at. I think they need to change players around. Maybe Eddie Howe, as he the man. I think Simon Jordan's is on Talksport. He's done a good job, but he'll not get you to where you want to go. Almost like the Brendan Rodgers type of manager. He's not going to get you into the top four every single year. How do you see it?
I would give him one more season, Gareth. The overachievement that he did last year, the way he maximized players, the way he improved players, Fabian Schär, who was signed under the Steve Bruce regime, turned into, Paolo Maldini last season at one point, like spraying passes all over the place, scoring long range shots. So he really improved. This season, I can't explain, the rat, like it's normal to, let's say, go like what Brighton did, which is okay, they're not used to this, so they're kind of like floating around seventh, eighth. They have rapidly declined, and their defense this season has been atrocious. Like the amount of chances, the amount of mistakes they gave to Chelsea and stuff. I thought I was shocked at some of the goals they conceded, and I don't know. I would give him one more season based on the fact that he got them third last year. You got to show some loyalty. I think he's, in my opinion, the most underrated coach in England. The stuff
I
that
think
he
he will get one more season. Well, say one more season. I think he'll get the first half of next season, and if it's not going well at Christmas, he'll be pulled out.
no, I just think if you look at what happened, he signed his marquee midfielder, gets banned for 9 months for gambling.
Yeah.
Look at some of his players. Although this was predictable, Callum Wilson, very injury prone, shown this season. Isaac's always been injury prone. Also, it's showing this season when they play, a Champions League football.
What do you think of Bruno? Bruno's not been on his best this year compared to last year as well.
Yeah, I think Bruno more so is just frustrated. I think the biggest miss this season, what they really missed, Joe Linton for me is their big. I think he set the tone for their midfield. He kind of epitomized their style, which was super physical counter-attacking football. And I think they really miss his presence in the midfield this year. So for me, I would give him one more season, sign some players. I thought some of his signings have been terrific. I thought Livramento has been awesome this year. I love Gordon. I think Gordon has been he's really improved this season. So I think there have been some positive. And then the other players that he signed, I mean, Harvey Barnes, has he played like 2 games this year? He's always injured. So I think the injuries, you have to look at the injuries and say it's just been a bad year. I hope we can use this season because they're going to have financial fair play problems and try and sign Isaac because I think he literally fits Arsenal like a glove in terms of our style. But let's see. In terms
of this game, Stefan, Man City, the treble's still on for them. If they won this, it'll still be on for them coming into that after the international break where they were last year. The way Newcastle have been conceding goals, I just don't see any other outcome than a Man City one.
They've been so poor away from home. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 3-0 City win. I think it's gonna be easy.
Let's look at these other two ties quite quickly. Chelsea, Leicester. Chelsea, bar that probably that cup defeat, the Liverpool, they've been steadily improving. They've been scoring more goals. I know at least I think players like Mudryk have, although the bar was quite low, has improved slightly. some players they are starting to get a few results here and there. Leicester, conversely, started the season like a train, and they have now basically
Yeah,
seen
they're going
Leeds and
down.
Ipswich close the gap. Leeds, if they won tomorrow, I think it is, or Sunday, could actually go above Leicester in the league on goal difference. So very, very tight there. What do you think Leicester's priorities will be? Will he look at Chelsea as a good opportunity to get to Wembley, or do you think they'll be very focused on getting back the one on that championship?
I mean, I would, if I was Leicester, I would focus more on getting back into the Premier League. But of course, I'm going to go for it in this game. It's been international break, so I doubt a lot of their players go to into, because they're still a championship side. So I'm sure their side will be quite fit going into the game. So I would love to say Leicester here, but no, like they're a championship team. Although
Chelsea have had so many nice draws.
yeah,
In the two
like
cups, they've had such great draws, and a lot of them have been at home.
literally all of them have been at home. Like even their
Mm,
League Cup run, they had
mm,
Newcastle at home. I think they had Brighton at home, and then
yeah.
then then they then they reached Wembley. So for me,
Middlesbrough,
I think
they played Middlesbrough,
yeah,
Leicester, Leeds,
they pretty
and I
much
think
if you
another
look at
championship
yeah,
team. They played four
if you
championship
look
teams.
at no, if you look at their draws, all of the Premier League teams that they faced have been at home, and
Yeah,
then the other teams that they faced were championship teams.
yeah,
So I would, if this was in Leicester, honestly, I would favor Leicester. I'm serious. I really would predict a Leicester win. But no, like Leicester is a championship team. They also play, their coaches from Man City. They play open football. They play, possession
yeah.
based football. They're gonna try and attack Chelsea. And Chelsea's best thing, their only thing, is playing on the counter. And I think Leicester's style, plus the fact that they don't have the same quality because they're a championship team. I think it will suit Chelsea, and I think Chelsea will edge this. I think they'll concede because they're shit defensively. So I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Chelsea here.
Yeah, I agree.
And then,
Chelsea will win this tie. And finally, Wolves against Coventry will start off the FA Cup weekend. I mean, will
oh
Wolves look at this as an opportunity? I mean, Coventry, I know they actually, it's very similar to last year. Coventry started the season slow, ended up reaching the playoff final. They're doing something very similar this season. They're pushing now for them playoff spots.
no,
Again, their focus may well be getting to the playoffs and trying to get to the Premier League again. Wolves really stiff in the league, probably can't make Europe, maybe Conference League at best, but the FA Cup's going to be their main priority. And they may look at this Coventry at home as a great opportunity. And then who knows, they could play Chelsea or Leicester in the semi final if they are to play each other, and they could get to the final. So, I mean, are Wolves dangerous? They rule out because we've seen against the big teams, they beat Spurs twice, they beat Man City, they give Arsenal a decent game. They've had some decent performances, especially against big teams. O'Neill seems to set his teams up like they counter attack against these teams. And it's worked a lot of the time. So they wouldn't be an easy draw for anyone in the semi final or the final.
no, for sure. In terms of, I think Wolves are gonna win because at home, I think they're really really strong at home naturally. I think Coventry. If this was in Coventry, I would give them more of a chance. But I just think Wolves have too much Premier League quality. I don't think Coventry I don't think Coventry are even like a top championship side. Let's be honest. So for me, I would say the disparity of quality. But then the only thing that maybe could worry you about Wolves is they're missing their two most important players in their system in terms of the counter
Mm.
attack. Cunha and Neto is now also injured again. He injured his hamstring.
Okay.
So
Do you think that's going to
so
scupper any chance of him getting a move now? Do you think our team's going to be put off?
no, I think let's say if I'm Arsenal, right? I'm gonna say, listen, we'll manage you better. You're not gonna play every single game, so you won't be as susceptible
Yeah, but
to
can you see
injury.
anyone paying 70 million? That's what they want. I
No,
can't see it.
no, no.
No,
Say and
he's had three hamstring injuries this season.
yeah, and to be honest, now I think if I would love him at Arsenal, but I think Arsenal now are gonna say no. We've already signed too many injury-prone players that have shown in a previous club. If there is a correlation where he gets injured a lot in his previous club, he will get injured when he comes. Like if you look at Arsenal's players, it's literally like pretty
Mm.
much everything correlates. So yeah, I don't think any club is going to pay
Mm.
70 to 80 million for
Sorry,
him.
Stefan. We've got 5 minutes left, and we're just going to go through the
Go on,
Premier League
man.
game. I agree.
Let's
Wolves as
go.
well. Wolves as well. I think they'll go free. I suppose from a neutral point of view, everyone wants a Liverpool Man City final. It'll be Klopp's last game at Liverpool. Suppose from an Arsenal point of view, you'd already see Liverpool Man City in the semi final.
I don't. I don't want. I don't want Liverpool to win anything. I'm going to be honest. I despise their fan base. I despise how they think they're better than
Oh,
everybody.
from an Arsenal point of view, in terms of it would favour you if they played each other in the semi-final during the run-in, wouldn't it?
For sure. I would prefer Liverpool Man City semi-final, because then they would have to focus in terms of, they would have to play a full strength team. So for me, yeah,
So Man City could actually play Arsenal twice and Liverpool on this run, which is crazy, and also to play
It's
Arsenal.
gonna be honestly,
so they could play Arsenal
Gareth,
three. You could play Arsenal 3 times in April and play
it's crazy.
Liverpool in April as well. So.
It's gonna be. I think this season is gonna be one of the greatest Premier League / Champions League races. Because you cannot. There's 3 teams that you could easily see becoming champions in the Premier League, and in the Champions League. Let's be honest. Is there an outright favorite? I don't think there is.
There's not, is there?
Yeah.
So let's fly through these 4 Premier League games quite quickly. Fulham Spurs, Stefan, how do you see that going tomorrow night at 5:30? Great opportunity for Spurs. They put some daylight between them and Man United again. I think if they won, they'll go 9 points clear of Man United on level games played with a better goal difference. So that will be a massive boost. After last night's results in the Europa League, it's nearly nailed on now that the top 5 will be in the Champions League next season. So, big game for Spurs. If they can get the 3 points here, it puts them in a really, really strong position.
No, you guys, I think you guys have quite a good record against Fulham.
We've won 14 of our last 16 games against
Fulham. Fulham. I mean, even with Arsenal, I think Fulham won their first game at Arsenal in like 30 years or something like that. It was like ages.
Although their record, going to Craven Cottage is different to them coming to us. It's a much tougher game.
I agree. And if you look at Fulham's home record this season, it's really impressive. I think they're in the top 5 for in terms of points from at home. So they're really good at home. I think they're not going to. Marcus Silva is another very underrated coach. He's very tactically astute. If you watch him when he plays against the big teams, if it wasn't for the ref, they would have gotten at least a point against Liverpool at Anfield. If Man City, if it wasn't again for the refs, they were really playing well in that game, and then for some reason they gave them a goal and stuff.
Offside
so
goal.
Yeah, clear offside. So they've played against Arsenal. They beat us at Craven Cottage, and they drew with us. So they always play tough. And what's the correct singing Liverpool European songs? Yeah. Well, Darren, is the same thing as you guys thinking that the theme song that you guys all sing, "You Never Walk Alone," is actually a Liverpool song. That's also quite funny. It's not. But okay. Going back, yeah, for me, I think Spurs will edge it. I think they'll win 2-1.
I agree. 2-1 Spurs. West Ham, Villa, big game as well. Both teams had good results in Europe. Tight game to call. I think this could be a draw. How do you see it? Watkins injured as well, and that's a big loss to Villa.
That's a massive loss, yeah. Even though the guy that came on, Duran, played well yesterday.
What a goal! What
a goal! Yeah.
He's quite raw, isn't he? He missed a few chances before that. He's quite raw.
I mean, Chelsea really want to sign him, so he's definitely talented. To be honest, West Ham usually play crap after a European game. They usually don't play well, from what I remember. I can easily see Villa beating them, but beating them just like I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Villa.
I'm gonna go 1-1. Big 6-pointer at
wait, Darren. Wait, let me just correct Darren. No, he's not out for the season. He has a cut.
I don't think it's that serious. I think he'll be back after the national break. Luton against Forest, 6-pointer. We've seen what happened with Luton. They're only 3-0 up, and this looked like 3 points. Then beat Forest at home, and you've got a great chance of staying up. Now all of a sudden you feel this is must-win for Luton. But Forest have been in poor form, although they've been aggrieved by some referee indecisions. So big game. I'm going to look forward to watching this at 3 o'clock. I think these are the type of games you want to watch. 2 teams with a lot on the line. I know it's not the top of the table, but it's very much important at the bottom too. How do you see this game go?
I think Luton are going to wipe the floor with Forest. Forest have a terrible away record. Luton are
Psychologically, though, they could be fragmented after what happened on Wednesday night. Though that's going to be difficult to
that's
come back from.
true. That's true, but I think Luton, let's be honest, Luton at the start of the season, they have nothing to lose. People had no expectations of them, like everybody. So I think Luton will go into this game. We're at home, we're playing in front of our fans. The atmosphere is great. I think Luton are going to beat them. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Luton for this
I
game.
think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1. And finally, Burnley, Brentford. Brentford, this is a great opportunity for Brentford to get clear of that bottom three because they haven't been in great form, but what an opportunity. Burnley have been leaking goals like you wouldn't believe. Play a lot of Burnley will probably have more possession, funny enough, but just probably don't have the quality. But I don't know. I have another feeling for a draw here. How do you see this?
No, I see a Burnley win, man.
Burnley
I
won.
think
You think that
Brentford
you're
have
about
been
a Burnley, aren't you?
awful. I favor Burnley because I think Brentford have one of the worst away records this season. Defensively, for some reason, this year they look atrocious. They look really bad. They're conceding so many goals, and I really think Burnley could spring a surprise on them. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Burnley here.
2-2 for me, and that finishes the weekend preview. Stefan, great to have you on as usual. We will be back on Monday or Tuesday. I think Monday maybe, because there's no Monday night game. So back on Monday night, they look back at the weekend, assess how things are before we return for the international break. There won't be as much content in the next 2 weeks, obviously, with the international break, but trust me, the content will go back up again when we come back for the run-on, because I think we've got 5 next week and we've got about 9-10 games. Crazy.
Gareth, you need to do a whole podcast on Gareth Southgate's England squad, because that was such a shit show. No words. No words.
But viewers, thanks for your comments tonight. As usual, plenty watching as always. And always good banter with Stefan as well. He will be back, trust me, for that Man City Arsenal podcast, I assume, on Easter week. So plenty to look forward to. Champions League draws made, Europa League draws made, FA Cup and Premier League this weekend. Enjoy your St. Paddy's weekend, and we will catch you next week. And if you're new around here, make sure to like the channel and always subscribe for more content. Stefan, thanks very much.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you.